So I'm Alice Yang from Pinterest. I'm a staff software engineer from Test Tools. And our mission is to build robust, scalable, reliable test frameworks and test tools that boost dev velocity and empower engineers to ship high quality code with confidence. So just give you some examples, what we own, unit testing, UI testing, frameworks, workflows in CI/CD, and test result management and analysis, test account management, unit test coverage, code coverage, etc. So for today's session, I will talk about observability in testing using our web integration testing related examples. Please feel free to leave any questions in the Q&A tab and I'll get to it at the very end. All right, let's get started. So I'll start with explaining why building observability in testing is necessary and share the history of our journey in the past few years and our current state. Talk about our approaches to build testing observability that allows us to monitor the health of our tooling and leverage the data for improvements. And then I'll dive deep into a couple examples of how we obtain data to gain insights for troubleshooting. Lastly, I'll share a bit more about our strategy of how we maintain a positive feedback loop of retrieving actionable data with metrics and logs, leading to better testing, and then iterating on enhancing the overall testing observability. All right, so what is observability and why do we need this? By definition, observability is the ability to understand the internal state of one or more related systems by analyzing its output, such as logs, metrics, traces, and artifacts, you name it. In modern software development, it's all about speed. And we're constantly pushing for faster release cycles, adopting agile processes, and embracing continuous integration and delivery. During the software development cycle, testing sometimes becomes a bottleneck. For example, it relies on limited metrics. We have to manually creating test results, failures with code changes, environment issues, or backend instability, leading to slow debugging. And sometimes test results, logs, and those metrics are scattered across different tools and systems. Makes it really difficult to get a holistic view. So given those situations that testing issues are primarily addressed after they have been already impacting the development cycle, such as blocking deployments and PR authors from landing their changes and leading to delays in firefighting. That's why we need to build the visibility to provide proactive insights, faster debugging, and the ability to make data-driven decisions about our testing processes. It's just like a microscope that helps us understand the smallest details. And observability allows us to pinpoint issues across different systems and optimizing our test efforts for faster and more reliable software delivery. Yeah, so next I will be sharing about our journey. It actually started roughly around 2020 when I joined the company, and also we migrated web integration testing from Selenium to Cypress. And what's good about it is that we get test results, Cypress logs, videos out of the box. And with plugins, we have HTTP archive files, and those are available in our CI system, which we use BuildKite. And we also built very basic metrics like testing speed and success rate for different workflows like pre-commit testing. And And not just testing stage, but also our web app builds and deployment speed and success rate. But we have to jump around and navigate among different systems to troubleshoot issues. So starting 2022, we explored different kinds of observability platforms, starting with the ones available within our company. So operational metrics such as pipeline speed, count, job wait time, job agent information, wait time, etc., were added in Honeycomb, which has a deeper integration with BuildKite, handles high cardinality data, distributed event tracing, and provide intuitive querying. Our mobile builds team actually released an engineering blog recently that's talking about Honeycomb specifically, but if you're interested in that, I can share the link. And coming back to our journey, a team dashboard was also created to add our specific metrics, starting with silence test ratio. So what that is when a test becomes very flaky, we don't want to run it in CI to block deployments or engineers. So test gets silenced, and we want to measure the ratio of it, so we know whether there are potential issues within the infrastructure. And also, metrics are used to answer the question, what happens in the system, where the logs are used to answer the questions, why did it happen? So we kind of lack of logs. And so test results, error objects like type, message, stack trace, and test file paths, test durations, test suites are streamed online to our Kafka topics through Kafka topic via Logstash, like data processing and ingesting pipelines to Elasticsearch to store. And we build histogram, line graphs, pie charts to visualize them in Kibana. And that's in 2022. And in 2023, we leverage the data we have, like the logs we have, to categorize the failures, top failures, and report them into our in-house test management dashboard. We call it Metro internally. And we also collaborate with test owners team to make it accurate, like the calculation, make it accurate. And we also have predefined queries for common failures on Kibana for faster search. And continuing expanding our team's dashboard to include other tooling information like test accounts, utilization, and the checkout release request volume, etc. In 2024, it's a theme to make Metro as one-stop shop to gain insight about test rounds, test trends, test ownership, etc. We're still expanding. So sometimes the test failure or flakiness are due to infrastructure or framework related issues and nothing to do with the test owners. It doesn't fair to triage the bug tickets to our test owners team. So we kind of leverage the test failure categorization to triage the ticket to the corresponding team. And we also build outage banner in our dashboards to make it more visible so people are aware of what's going on in the testing environment. In addition to adding like terminal logs, which help us to better debugging, we also expand our stats boards with more metrics. I'll get to some of the examples in the next few slides. And beyond 2024, we also have big plans, and I also shared a bit more near the very end. So without further ado, Based on our experience, I shared just now, and to summarize, we leveraged existing infrastructure system and tools. Our company already have some powerful infrastructure tools: Elasticsearch, Kibana, in-house time series database, and its UI. Honeycomb integrated with our CI system build guide for us to leverage. And the key really is to integrate with and configure them to collect and visualize the specific data that matters most to our testing workflow and needs. So collecting data is only halfway through. The real value comes from transforming it into actionable insights. This is where custom dashboards or visualization become crucial. I'll share some example dashboards now. Hope you can still see this. This is our team's dashboard. Like I mentioned earlier, there are silence test ratio and skip rate from different pre-commit pipelines. Skip rate is what we use to measure the amount of tests that we skipped in pre-commit, because we only run relevant tests relate to the code changes. If this number is getting too high or too low, that might be some issues happening with our test reduction mechanism. So this is very helpful. And the next dashboard is web pre-commit integration testing workflows dashboard. So that includes the end-to-end speed and success rate information, as well as individual stages or testing pipelines. So in web, our monorepo actually supports multiple sites. Desktop web, mobile web are for consumers, and there are ads, analytics, trends, etc. So it's good to have an overview as well as a more granular view of each stage in pipeline. And this is the Kibana dashboard that provides the insights into test failure logs, top common failures, and the file information or test owner information about those top failures. We also have defined queries for faster search. As you can see, on the left-hand side, we have common failures like both on the server side and client side. We also configure proactive alerts to notify on call or in a Slack channel for significant deviations or potential problems in real time. Yeah, so hopefully you are still stay with me, and I'll share you a couple of examples or case studies of how we leverage the data we obtain and build to help us solve issue quickly. The first one, in this case, a Slack alerts notified us of high utilization on a test account. Using our Metro dashboard, we identified the account owner, engaged with them to understand usage pattern, and made recommendations to improve the situation. So on this slide, you can see alerts sent to one of our Slack channels. So our on-call saw it and go to the stats word that contains the alerts. As you can see, the ones are circled in red indicates a little bit high utilization. The top one has around like 87, 88% utilization. So that's generally okay, but sometimes if it went up too high, 99 or 100%, it will make our CI build slow, because all the jobs are sharing the test account pool, and high utilization will prevent jobs run fast. And So, and then we kind of dive deep into this by looking into how many test accounts are inside that type of account. So we found out there's only one of that adds testing endpoints for, and that's also the same for the other ads testing and endpoints star. So usually we recommend more test accounts in CI. So because we have concurrent jobs and it's highly likely multiple tests are using the same type of test accounts and in different builds, right? So we need to have enough test accounts. That's why we kind of come back to the Metro dashboard and find out the ownership of the test account and try to understand what's it used for and which team it belongs to. So we found out the responsible component here, that the ownership, and reach out to the team through Slack channels and understand that this is actually only used on local for load testing for the holidays. So which is fine to have just one test account in this case. But in general, we recommend we have enough test account for the concurrency support in CI. And when when the high utilization happens, the solution is really to add more account to it. So we kind of talk to the team, and so they will inform us when they are doing the load testing, so we don't get panic about the alerts. And through the investigation process, we also found there are areas we can improve. For example, the account ownership information can be entered during the account creation, and more fields such as Slack channels can be part of the ownership information on Metro, so we don't have to, go through the Jira component, find out the team and the channels, and to reach out to the owner. Yeah, so that's the first example. The second example involves a regression in our testing pipeline, indicated by multiple metrics. We narrowed down the issue using Kibana logs, pinpointing the root cause. By addressing the issue, we improved the stability and success rate relatively quickly. So I'll be quickly going over some of the metrics. This one on the page currently showing an increasing testing time across all the 6 testing pipelines, web testing pipelines, compared to previous weeks. And this one showing a decreasing success rate among all these pipelines. Also, opt-out count increased. Our pre-commit testing is blocking the PR until all the tests passed. So, but in some cases, for urgent hot fixes and reverts, people can opt out, and when there are outages in the infrastructure or backend, they can also choose to opt out to unblock themselves. But if this number is too high, that means there's something going wrong. And going back a little. Yeah, and we also measure bypass irrelevant test failure count. So in pre-commit, we don't block people from irrelevant test failures. That we leverage the historic data and analysis to make that decision. But if this number is too high, that means there are too many test failures that are getting bypassed. It could add too much load to our backend services, and also this is also an indicator of something is going on. And we also saw the top failures increased 10 to 100 times. and especially with the ads pipeline. For 503 errors compared to weeks ago, and it is also trending up. And by looking at some example test execution logs, we noticed that the 503 error is actually thrown from the ads API. So sorry, I hide this is because it's an internal URL, and that's kind of clear that there's something going on with the ads API. So we actually reach out to the team, figured out the ads API host rolling restart factor is at 55%. When it's doing restart, it could lead to high CPU while the CI builds are running for tests. And so the solution is to change the rolling restart factor to 25%, and we start seeing no more like 503 errors after the change. And for future improvements, I'm sure the team has the alerts, but I think this is something will also be helpful for us to monitor, because that's one of our dependencies in the future for high CPU alerts. And one thing has already also been planned for later this year in 2025 is we were going to fail fast on infrastructure failures and dependency issues. So that can give us earlier signal of there are some infrastructure issues that's blocking deployment or API authors that we need to take a look at, and also reduce the load from CI because we're sharing the clusters with other services, and save infra costs as well. And yeah, so what's next, or what are the things we've been continue doing is so implementing observability is an ongoing journey, not a one-time project. It's not like you build it and that's it. We began by integrating our test tools and infrastructure with observability platform, starting building tailored dashboards to surface critical test metrics and set up proactive alerts for potential issues. It's like a virtual cycle, and we have to regularly evaluate and refine our observability framework to address feedback, evolving test needs and challenges, and leverage the insights we gain over time. As we're building our observability capabilities, it's crucial to anticipate infrastructure changes. For example, like migrations, deprecations of tools. In addition to the platform's capability, the ease of onboarding and maintaining is also an important thing to consider. We could prioritize tools that allows for data integration and portability, and focus on common transferable metrics and visualizations, and design the observability system with adaptability and the data migration in mind. So by embracing changes and building for flexibility, we ensure our testing observability strategy remain effective and relevant to the longer term. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it from my side. Hope this is helpful. And even though most of the examples are in web Cypress tests, but I think a lot of strategy and methodology can be applied to other platforms and other type of testings. Yeah, so now I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Alice. That talk was amazing. And I think I can confidently say after this presentation that data really is your team's superpower. We have a number of questions from the audience, so I'm going to go ahead and bring one up on the screen. Our first question is about tooling. So what tool are you using for the dashboards that you demoed in your presentation?
Actually, we're currently still using multiple dashboards. For operational metrics related, we use our in-house stats board. So it's powered by the time series database at the end. It's just an in-house dashboards. I can maybe quickly go back so you can see this is all from our in-house stats board. This one's as well.
Excellent.
And for logs, we use Kibana, so that's kind of more powerful than our stats board, showing logs, and we can quickly build up queries on top of that. And the last one, and then for Honeycomb, we use it for build kite related information. But in the future, our goal is actually consolidated further. And as I mentioned, the Metro dashboards our team owns. We're trying to, at the moment, linking all this information in that dashboard. And in the future, we're going to port over, build into our Metro dashboards.
Excellent. Another question from the audience is from Dan. He says, these are great dashboards. Are you pulling the data from the Cypress cloud using the data extract API?
No, so we don't use Cypress Cloud. We sometimes we have account, so we do testing and see what's new there. But we built our in-house dashboards mostly due to like security and integration with our other backend services, etc. Yeah, this dashboards exist prior to we migrate to Cypress.
Awesome. Another one from the audience is, what steps do you take to ensure that the data collected is actionable and not overwhelming for the audience consuming it?
Great question. Yeah, so I think it's an iterative approach. And most of the metrics initially we built up is from like team brainstorming for our on-call purposes. And also sometimes we have IMs, and if we have those kind of metrics and alerts, we could have caught this earlier. And so we're starting with that and continuously improving that to be more actionable. Yeah.
Okay. Another question is coming on stage now. And this question is, what strategies can we adopt to ensure a fail-fast approach for infrastructure and dependency issues in our testing builds?
Yeah, so this is, so first of all, you need to have insights, data. So either like operational metrics, see when this, for example, the testing pipeline is taking longer time and lower success rate, and then dive deep into the logs and see what could potentially causing that. For example, if there are 503 errors that for example, the URL is not available, that's causing the lower success rate. And in these kind of situations, you can think about like, is it safe for us to just maybe do a pulse check for the URL before running all the tests? And if it's happening, should we just fill the build immediately and alert the respective teams for a solution? And sometimes it's hard to say, right? Like 503 might be obvious to skip it. And for some of the like Cypress assertion errors, you cannot just say, oh, this is due to infra failures, or it's because of the test. And that needs more data to analyze that. So you can look at terminal logs and parsing the information in the CI system and aggregate it into somewhere and So if it's because the page is not load, the backend too slow, and so the assertion failed. That's like because some issues are in API or dependent services. So that could be skipped for the remaining tests. But you kind of need those kind of information beforehand in order to make the decisions. You can start with some lower hanging fruits. For one, you're not able to log into the test account, so probably the test account is somehow suspended, and right. But for very specific Cypress errors, then you need more data to analyze that. Hope that's helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Alice, again, for your time, for your insights, and showing us all that your team has done to explore this other parallel of not only application quality, but test application quality as well.